Recording in progress. Check.
Right, Chip, you just kicked me under the table. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Walnut Creek Design Review Commission meeting Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. For those of you that are not here in person who wish to participate in the meeting, we are available via Zoom, and the meeting ID is 854-0173-0069. The password's 231222. And if you don't have a computer, you can call on the phone with the same information at 1-669-900-6833. And as a reminder, as a courtesy and technology permitting, members of the public may continue to provide live remote oral public comment via the city's Zoom video conferencing platform. However, the city cannot guarantee that the public's access to teleconferencing technology will be uninterrupted, and technical difficulties may occur from time to time. Members of the public desiring to provide comments as a part of the meeting are encouraged to either submit written comments at least 2 hours prior to the meeting or to attend the meeting in person. Mr. Secretary, if we could do a roll call, please.
Yes, we can. Thank you. We have Commissioner Newsom.
Here.
Vice Chair Killian.
Here.
And Chair Krelling.
Here.
Commissioners Case and Valia will not be in tonight. They have phoned in that they will be absent, and we have 3, so we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Next item, consent calendar. Do we have anything on consent, Mr. Secretary?
We do not, and nothing in item 4 that we would recommend moving to consent.
Great, thank you. Then we'll move on to public communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comment on items not already on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the Commission cannot act on items raised during public communications, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer the item to staff. So do we have anybody in the public who wishes to speak here in person on anything not on the agenda? This is your opportunity. And do we have anybody on Zoom this evening?
We have none.
None. Okay. Then we will close public communications. We'll move on to public hearings. We have one project, Crate and Barrel exterior modifications and remodel, and sign ordinance exceptions, application Y22063 on South Main Street. Does staff have a presentation?
Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Brittany Lenore, Assistant Planner here in Walnut Creek. So the project before you is the remodel and facade modifications for Crate and Barrel at 1201 South Main Street. So this site is on the corner of South Main and Olympic Boulevard in downtown. The property is zoned pedestrian retail and follows the pedestrian retail classification of the general plan. The pedestrian retail zone is intended for more intensely developed downtown retail and is intended to serve the pedestrian shopper by offering a wide variety of shops. And so Crate and Barrel would do that by occupying this space. Crate and Barrel is wanting to move into this retail tenant space, and to do that, they will consolidate 3 tenant spaces into one. They're also proposing exterior alterations, including removal of the existing awnings at the storefront entrances, removing 3 of the storefront door systems to have only 1 entrance that will be along South Main Street, painting the brick and stucco white, new signage, removing the existing skylight at the corner rotunda, and infilling glazing along South Main Street with brick. They'll also do a new awning at the entrance. So on the left of the slide before you, you'll see the existing condition, and on the right are proposed renderings of the project. There's also a color material board for you to look at and renderings that are being passed around.
Watch out for this thing, it's a knuckle killer.
So the slide before you shows the facade along South Main Street. That's the side that will be used as the entrance for Crate and Barrel. Alterations along this facade include painting the brick and stucco white. As you can see from the color material board, the white for the brick will be opaque. In addition, a new awning is proposed, which will help identify and establish the entrance. Brick infill along 4 inset windows and a storefront system is proposed along this facade, and black granite veneer is proposed at the window sills, which will provide a base at the windows in contrast to the surrounding white brick and stucco. New signage and lighting are also proposed along this side. So the slide you see now is the other side, which is Olympic Boulevard. And as with the side facing South Main, this side will also be painted white, but the parking tunnel is to remain as unpainted brick. One existing storefront system will be removed and replaced with windows, and new signage and exterior lighting are also proposed on this side. So for that brick infill area, staff asked the DRC to review the brick infill options for the window and the arched storefront. Option 1 shows a brick infill that matches the style of the surrounding brick, but maintains the existing top and bottom soldier courses. Option B matches the brick, but removes those soldier courses, so that is the most seamless infill option. And option C has a herringbone design, and the existing soldier courses are maintained. So all 3 of these options can meet the design review guidelines, and the blue circles here indicate the areas for infill. So as I said, a storefront system will be infilled, and that infill is for a proposed mural that Crate and Barrel wants to do to satisfy the public art requirement. The infill option that DRC recommends will include this mural location, potential mural location, and due to Crate and Barrel's floor plan, this area will be infilled since this is adjacent and near their back of house area. So the arched brick infill area is approximately 250 square feet, and the entire inset area is approximately 320 square feet. This is the location they'd want to have their mural, and staff asked the DRC to provide input on the mural location and a recommendation to the Arts Commission. On the color and material board, you will see a mock-up of a mural that Crate and Barrel is considering proposing to the Arts Commission, but final design will be reviewed and approved at an Arts Commission hearing. As part of the project, Crate and Barrel signage is proposed along both street elevations. So as you can see on the top elevation, which faces South Main Street, there will be 1 blade sign, 1 channel letter wall-mounted sign above the store entrance, and 2 externally illuminated pedestrian signs adjacent to the entrance. There's another wall-mounted channel letter sign proposed at the corner with another set of externally illuminated pedestrian signs below. Along Olympic Boulevard frontage, there's a blade sign and a new cabinet sign that will be used for the parking garage. So as part of the signage, Crate and Barrel is requesting 2 sign exceptions from the sign ordinance. One is for the channel letter sign at the corner rotunda, and another is for the 2 blade signs. In the sign ordinance, wall-mounted signs are limited to 25 feet in height from grade, and due to the existing building design and forms, the proposed crate and barrel sign is proposed to be taller than 25 feet by less than 1 foot. Staff believes an exception can be supported, considering the proposed sign is framed well in the area, and its positions attractive and appropriate. The second sign exceptions for the blade signs. Blade signs are typically limited to 4.5 feet. Crate and Barrel is requesting 2 9-square-foot blade signs, so this increase in size will not impact any sight lines, and due to the size of the tenant space, staff believes the signage is appropriate and will help establish this as an anchor-sized store in downtown. And there you can see a close-up detail of that blade sign at 9 square feet and externally illuminated. So this project is categorically exempt from CEQA under Section 15301 for existing facilities, since this is an existing tenant space that will only be remodeled. So to summarize, the DRC is tasked with reviewing applications which require design review. Staff asked the DRC to review the project, including the removal of the skylight, proposed colors and materials, signage, including the sign exceptions, and exterior lighting, the public art location, and the brick infill options. Staff recommends the Design Review Commission move to adopt the resolution approving the design review application number Y22063 as shown and as conditioned. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm available for any questions you may have. The applicant team is also here and available for questions.
Great, thank you. All right, Commissioner Newsom, any questions for staff?
Good.
Okay.
Vice Chair Killian.
Brittany, could you explain the difference? This kind of reminds me of the Charles Schwab, and if memory serves me, they had problems on their corner rounded too, and we had to move it. What's different here that allows them to put this on the corner?
Are you referring to the signage or?
Yes, the signage, I'm sorry.
Oh, the prior Talbot sign was there. And so the exception is just for the height. It meets all the area and aggregate area requirements for signage.
And is this considered a different elevation then? Where the other one is facing east, or?
As opposed to the South Main side.
Right.
That was my interpretation, yes, but Chip can weigh in.
That would be considered the Olympic elevation,
Olympic elevation.
since they have 2 frontages. Technically, they have 3.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have just one easy question. Because my eyes can't make it out, what's the height from the sidewalk to the bottom of the blade signs? It's on there, I just can't read it when I don't have a magnifying glass.
It's got to be at least 8.
No, it's over that. I should have. Let me look. Nine and a half.
Great, thank you. I don't have any other questions. Just, so anything else from the commissioners?
Nope.
All right.
I think I have a general inquiry about this receiving door and bollards, about how that's going to work.
Yes, there is a condition in the resolution to remove that from this scope at this time.
Missed that. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds like a protest out there. Does the does the applicant have a presentation? Come on up, and please. Oh, they're probably saying they want the store there, so.
Hi, my name's Tony Garippo. I run the store development team for Crate. With me is John Mobies. He heads construction for Crate and all its brands. Just a couple historical notes. I had to do the math. We've been here for 30 years. We opened the first store in '92. It was just a houseware store. And then we took the balance of the building we were in and added a second floor in '01. Our lease ended. Macerich had some other plans, so we started looking for some real estate in the area. We tried to work with them. That didn't work out. And we tried to go off Main Street, but we really wanted to be on Main Street. You know, we've been here for that amount of time, and we wanted to be close to furniture. The size, and we chose this real estate really instead of size, because it's a great piece of real estate. It's half the size of the old store, so we have to, use every inch we can. We drove a lot of our decisions, where we placed the entrance, where we put what we did with the rotunda, how we treated the color of the building. The building's a little idiosyncratic. It's meant for multi-tenants. We're taking the whole building. It's not really our style. We're more of a modernist language, and this is something we thought we had to kind of tame to really suit us. We're happy with the outcome, and we're excited to get this thing going because we're operating in the Neiman Marcus building. Even that's bigger than this is going to be. If you have any other questions about what the decisions we made, be happy to talk it through with you. But anyway, I just wanted to give you some context.
Great, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for applicant?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Killian.
I'm going to jump around here. What are you doing right now? There's currently lights in the sidewalk, and generally about half of them are always out. Are those staying, or are those, and they shine up on the, I think the intent was to shine up on the columns?
John, please.
Any lighting that's in the public sidewalk would not be in our scope. Oh, sorry, John Moby's Director of Construction for Crate and Barrel and All
Thank you.
Brands. All lighting that's in the public sidewalk, if any, would not be in our scope of work. I assume that would be Department of Public Works. If there's building uplighting that's attached to the building or inside the planters, we would repair those. We would want those operable.
But wouldn't it be, if we were having special paving or whatever, the applicant would be responsible for that? If I remember, Talbert's, when they came in, they put in those lights.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
They're actually in the sidewalk?
Yeah, similar to what's in front of Williams-Sonoma's and so forth, but my concern is, half of them usually don't work. And it just makes your building, one's on, one's off, or whatever. So I want a clarification that if they're staying, that they're going to work, you're going to repair them.
My personal preference as an architect would be to replace them with an above-ground light that provides the same type of building uplighting versus a subterranean light, because really, within a couple of years, rain and water penetration erodes those, and I think they're, a substandard light fixture.
Right. And I don't know how you do that in the public, trip hazards and everything else, so.
Yeah, it would not be my first choice.
So that's something, I guess, needs to be looked into. Landscaping, you didn't really address it. What are you doing? There's these little wedged little planters. I think you've got about 5 or 6 of them sprinkled throughout on 2 sides.
Sure. Our brand standard is to look at the landscaping that's there and then replace it with new landscaping to match species, size, coverage.
Okay. On the South Main elevation, I understand you want to brick in the one. The other glazing, I was a little bit confused. Is that a window that you're replacing the storefronts with, or is that a opaque system? Or could you kind of walk me through exactly?
Are you looking at the one with the big X on it?
No, that's the brick.
That's the brick.
Go to the right, the next 2, where you're replacing a storefront.
Yes, so we are replacing the glazing only in the balance of the fenestration that we are not adding the brick into. And we're doing that for 2 reasons. One, it meets Title 24 Energy Code. And 2, we're providing a clearer glazing, less reflective glazing than what's currently there.
Okay, so again, so when you say clearing, is it a window that you can see into your store?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we provided you the sample of the glass.
okay. I have a little bit of problem. When Talbert's came, the whole idea, especially along Main Street, and we fought this with Neiman Marcus and everything, was to really create a pedestrian experience with as much window boxes and looking into the store. And what we didn't want was these solid storefronts of what you're proposing with the brick. We wanted to have as much interaction with the pedestrian as possible. So again, Talbert's, when it came, we fought for all these openings and everything. And so now you're coming back, for your own program, but nonetheless, you're closing things in a little bit. And so again, do you have to close up that entire brick? Did you have any other options?
So one of the reasons why so you're talking about the vertical slots that are recessed? There's the mural, that's one thing, and then we have 4 vertical slots that we're filling in.
Right. The biggest thing is that the mural where that's going, breaking in that whole area as opposed to leaving some window boxes or something else, again.
Sure, we understand. One of the issues we have with the size of this store is, and also the new prototype that we've built. We built a store outside of Detroit and one outside of DC in suburban Virginia. The new prototype is a much more open floor plan. If you've been in our store, we've always had a lot of walls, fixed walls and shelving, and it was more of a thrill of the hunt experience. Shopping patterns have changed. Our customers changed. It's more surgical shopping than it is that meandering through the store. So our stores now are much more open, and you could see that even in the temporary store, where you could walk in, get a cognitive understanding of everything that's in there and what our assortment is. By doing that, we have a dearth of shelving space. We put fixtures throughout, but still that's a little open. We've always treated the perimeter as a balance between transparency and opaque surfaces so that we could put shelving on there. It's really getting as much merchandise in there as we can while keeping that open feeling. So the reason why we blocked it in is because we needed that shelving space. We still think there's a lot of transparency. There's still a lot of storefront, tall storefront. It's not going to be blocked. It's totally open. You could see visually inside and outside. Back in the day, we used to put walls in front of glass on the inside so you could see product, and became a problem operationally, and you can never really see in the store. So it's much more open. I think we feel like it's still pretty transparent. Those windows are set back. All the 4 of those are recessed. So it's not like you get a big punch out of them. I think really the punch is all the other storefront that we're actually opening up, because we're making it so that there are less mullions, so that the clear area is going to be increased in those windows. I hope that kind of answers our approach.
Okay. And the mural, it will be decided by the Art Commission, but again, do you have any idea of what type? Are we talking about some sort of a tiled type of mural or a paint-on?
It would be painted. So we got a list of artists from the Arts Commission. We went through a vetting process. We chose Casey O'Donnell. What you may see in that is just sort of a prototype. We haven't decided on what it is. We're going to work with the Arts Commission to settle that.
Okay. Let me switch over to signs now, staying with what's on the screen right now. That Crate and Barrel doesn't fit within the architecture. And frankly, driving by, I don't think anyone's going to see it between the narrow street, the trees, and it above the awning. So again, did you think about other ways to create, maybe bring it down to more of a pedestrian level or something else to where it might be more visible?
Are you talking about the one on Main Street
The one
at
over
the
your front
entrance?
door.
We understood. There's a lot of foliage. We do have some signs that are a little bit lower pedestrian level. you know, that's, you know, it's kind of our business card. You know, we've always, you know, when people had business cards, that's sort of how we look at it. Even though we still think there'll be some impact by having that marking the entrance. I think even peripherally, people will see it walking down the street. It may not be as visible as we'd like, but we're not planning on doing anything with the trees.
Did you look at something perhaps on the awning or whatever? Again, it doesn't fit the architecture, and what I'm seeing is you're just taking your crate and barrel, that's the size, and we're putting it on there, and it's not fitting within the brick reveals or whatever. So again, I'm wondering, was there any other options?
I mean, respectfully, we thought it did fit. I mean, that proportionally in that element of the facade, we think works. We take our signage very seriously. That no matter where we put that, wherever this building would be, we'd probably place it exactly the same proportionally with the facade. There's, sort of a dogmatic approach that we have to our signage and our buildings. So we felt that was the appropriate thing to do. If we did something on the, like on the apron of the awning, it's not quite a brand standard of ours. So it would really be a departure.
Since you're redoing some of the facade, the bricking, did you look at maybe redoing that top one so you create a sign or a panel that fits your sign instead of just going with those three that don't fit the sign? The brick background?
I'm not sure I'm following you.
Well, you have on the existing architecture, you have those three inserts on the brick panel.
Oh, right.
And your crate and barrel does not fit within that center one. It bleeds out over in the other one. So again, what I'm trying to figure out is if there is a way to make it look like the architecture and the sign were designed together.
Understand. There's a lot going on with this building. I don't know if we could think about that. We're trying to put our resources, in the most effective places. This facade has so many things going on. It's got stucco, it's got brick, it's got different angles, it's in and out. We think that it'll kind of blend, once it's all painted white, it'll kind of blend together. The more resources we put on trying to fix something that is really idiosyncratic, the less resources we have to do the more important things on the interior. It's something I guess we could talk about. Yeah.
Do we have a rendering straight on of the front?
Those large ones are not.
Like the large extended? This one right here. Main Street, this one.
Just the elevator.
It's in the plan.
Actually, go back 2 slides. That's probably a little bit better. One more. Yeah, I don't know if that's any better.
There's another one. Go back a little more.
And, to your point, I think the white will be very forgiving, so it takes away some of that reveal. It would be nice if we saw a rendering of it. So I think it might reinforce it.
And then on the blade sides, you're almost doubling the city allowable. Why should you be able to do that?
Well, I don't know if we should be able to do it. We'd like to do it. Part of the issue with our sign is that the logo, the proportions of the logo are very long. If we reduced it to the size allowable, it's very ineffective. We have done blade signs, banners that have been, this size or larger. We thought the proportions were better. We're really asking you to allow us to do that. It's really just a function of the proportions of the logo.
They're not meant to be signs for vehicular traffic. It's more for pedestrian. And again, where you have them in the sign, I think you're, again, trying to capture the vehicles and getting away from the intent of a pedestrian
Yeah.
sign.
Well,
And I think there's ways you could, I mean, again, maybe you could take it down to 5 feet by a foot, you know, and still, you could probably leave your font the same size, and so there probably are ways, but again, you know, I just don't, I need you to help me understand why you deserve this, you know, busting through the sign ordinance and doing twice the amount of the allowable signage.
all right, I don't know if I could explain why we deserve it, but I think the purpose is from a distance, even at a pedestrian level, we want people to know that we're there. You know, we are moving. You know, we're not in the Broadway Plaza anymore. So really, it's to have the impact, even from a couple blocks away, that we're there.
All right,
How
thank you.
tall is the letter? The lettering, is the lettering on that light sign?
Yeah, if you can zoom in.
Like 7, I can't.
6 or 7 inches, yes, not bad.
Those were my questions.
There was one thing that I forgot to say earlier. The double doors and the bollards have been removed from our plans, so we're not going to submit with that at all. So don't worry about that.
Okay, so my questions have been mostly answered as you responded to the other two commissioners. Little notes I had, it sounds like the trees that are out there on the sidewalk, nothing's happening with those. What I was really gonna ask for that wasn't in the package we had was like the narrative of the changes you're making, but now I understand why you want to close off the doors. You explained that very well. I was kind of curious, just understanding why you wanted to get rid of the skylight. And I'm not opposed to your getting rid of it. It was just more like understanding your thinking there.
No, fair point. So one of the initiatives, major initiatives we have is design consultations for customers. We're putting design desks, and we're not the only ones doing it, right? We're putting them they're in all our stores right now. You know, we try to do that in a sidecar space within our store, so that's a little separate, a little more quiet, and with a lot of natural light. So the rotunda is a perfect place for us to put that. It's got the most natural light in the building. Above that, we're going to have a ceiling with an array of decorative pendant fixtures. That skylight is, I don't know, 20 years old. It's beyond its useful life. It's not a really high-quality skylight. We talked to the landlord about it, and they came to terms with us so that we could remove it, because we were going to basically cover it up and then worry about it leaking, you know, and it probably would have happened in the first 3 years we were there. That was primarily the reason. It just gave us a little comfort to not have to worry about it.
Great. And is there any reason to not continue the white paint on the parking tunnel brick? Is that because it's not part of your space, or?
You know, it wasn't, it's very utilitarian, and it's not attractive. So we thought if we didn't, we keep that separate. We have our building. I mean, we did the vestibule, we kind of included because it's kind of a bookend to that elevation. Even though, you know, we're not really fond of the arch window, but it's a vestibule. We understand it's kind of separate. So we really did it because we wanted that to recede and not be, you know, sort of not pop out.
Great. And then the big archway where the mural's going, you know, that's inset pretty well. Are you basically going to pull that forward? That's all going to be flush?
It'll be all flush, yes.
Okay.
It'll all be on one plane.
Great. I think those are my questions, so thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you. Then I think we want to move to public comment on this particular application. So is there anyone from the public in chambers who wishes to address the commission on the Crate and Barrel application? And do we still have nobody on Zoom, Mr. Secretary?
We have 0 attendees.
Great, thank you. All right, then I think we're ready for commissioner comments. So, and let me add, I know one thing we didn't talk about in any of the Q&A, I think staff is looking for our preference on the brick replacement style. There's the herringbone, there's the fill-in with and without the soldier course. So just want to make sure we get that. Is there any other important things you're looking for us to answer besides just our, how we feel on the project?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, how about Commissioner Newsom?
I mean, I think my comments would be, just riffing off what you guys said, I mean, I think that the garage entrance, I think that, in my opinion, that should match, should be white, otherwise it's gonna look like an orphan. I think if there's lighting out in the sidewalk, it's not mentioned here, it doesn't, for one thing, I appreciate what he said about it not being on the property, but I don't know where the property line is here, but if those lights are powered by this building, the only way this ever gets resolved is by this project, whether you pay for it or the landlord pays for it. I think a condition has to be to remove those lights. And I think some people had mentioned the infilling of the glass. I actually support that. I think it reinforces the architecture. Personally, I think that the rhythm of the building would be improved if we just went with the B and just made those openings go away. That was about it. I think the sign placement makes sense, particularly since this repeats the legacy of the past.
Did you have some
Well,
questions,
just a
Mr.
point of
Secretary?
Just a point of clarification. On the light comment, was that in reference to the sidewalk lights that were discussed earlier?
Yeah. It was pointed out that
Okay.
there's lights in the sidewalk, some of which they're working and some are not.
Okay, got it.
I can't imagine the city maintains those lights. It must have been a concession the city gave to a previous tenant. The only way to get them out is now.
Great. Vice Chair Killian.
I'm wrestling with this because in past, especially on this position, you're kind of the gateway into the whole shopping center, and we've always treated this as, doing an upgrade. And when it was Talbert's, that skylight and that hanging art, wrestled over that, trying to do something really great at that corner. And all the stores that came in, we wanted this upgraded architecture, materials, and I don't see that anymore. And all we're doing is painting over a building here, and this is, a very prominent corner. And then on the art, it seems like the trend is these murals, we're just painting everything. For this location and everything, and again, we're not the Art Commission, so I'm just, a comment to the Art Commission is that I would expect something more than just a paint job over the brick. I would expect to see some, I don't know what to expect, but I'm not happy with a painted mural, I guess is what I want to convey to the Arts Commission. So I was a little bit disappointed, on the signature location, that, in the past, we'd always pushed for a wow factor, to upgrade it. And again, I understand where you're coming from and your program on the interior, but again, for the citizens of Walnut Creek and everything, it's not exactly what I want to hear, that you're closing things off and doing everything just for the interior, and you're not really giving back to the community as far as upgrading this. So to get specific, actually, I don't have a problem with your corner sign. It's couple inches above the 29, but again, it fits the architecture and it reads well. I do have a problem with the sign over the South Main, your main front. I'm not in favor of that at all. I think it doesn't fit the architecture. You're not going to see it, and I think there's, again, maybe not a better solution, but I think there's other options that work with the architecture, but I'm not in favor of that one. I'm definitely not in favor of the 9-foot blade signs. Again, I see no reason why you couldn't stay within the site and ordinance, still have the blade sides, for pedestrian experience. I don't think I can make any findings why we double the size of that, when it's obvious that you could take it down a little bit, other than the desire to have a bigger sign, which everybody wants the same thing. Now, having said that, I'm willing to move this along. I'm not against it. I guess I'm just the old guy here who's seen history and what we used to do 30 years ago. We saw your original store, I did, when it came through there and everything. And again, we pushed for you to have a higher impact there. And so again, I just, hopefully we're not getting away from that and just going back to these white stucco. I know that's kind of a trendy thing now. Everything's going white, black, and gray, although that's always been your logo. So whether it's good or not, you're going to have your old Crate and Barrel signature across the street. So we're going to have a Crate and Barrel entry into Walnut Creek, coming in, this white thing. So anyway, those are my comments. I'm just kind of, I'm not in favor of the signage. I'm not going to vote for that. But as far as what they're proposing, I guess I'm reluctantly going along with it.
Okay, thank you. Did you have a preference on the
No, I think
brick
if it's
patterns?
painted over, I think I'll leave that up. I don't think it's going to be, it's inconsequential, so.
And Commissioner Newsom, did you have any preference on the brick?
Yeah, it's,
I believe you said B.
it's B.
I'll support that.
I have to see which one B is.
B's the one where it just infills, there's no recess is gone.
And no soldier course either. Is that in B?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so it just kind of patches the hole in, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
I'll-
doesn't look like a patched hole anymore.
Okay.
Just let it be.
No pun intended or pun intended? Now, I was going to say I actually like the herringbone, but I see I'm going to be outvoted on that one, so that's okay.
It looked like a Band-Aid.
All right. I'm good with the application. I like the color palette. I just walked by the building again tonight after grabbing some coffee to look at it again, and the building right now is an eyesore. So this will be a nice upgrade to the building. And I'm going to make an assumption, and you can feel free to nod to confirm or not, because I don't know. I'm assuming that it wasn't a voluntary move from your prior location. So, because I was thinking, is this going to be big enough for Crate and Barrel? So that really helps me understand why you need to close up those other doorways and windows to make a workable store that's, I think you said this, about half what you used to have. From my perspective, we want a Crate and Barrel in downtown Walnut Creek. We don't want to not have a Crate and Barrel. It's a signature tenant, signature store. It draws lots of people. So a part of what I look at in design decisions, because I believe it's a part of our charter, is the economic viability of design. And that's why I'm okay with what you're doing, and I'm okay with the sign exceptions that you're asking for, because I think you're an important tenant to have at a central spot in our downtown, and I don't think it's too much to have I'll just call it extra signage to support that. So overall, I'm good with everything. I would have picked the herringbone brick, but I think I know, yeah, well, I'm going to pick the herringbone brick, but I think we're going to end up with the option B, as you called it. So those are my comments. Would anybody like to make a motion? And with whatever conditions become a part of the motion?
Can I ask a question? Can we separate signage away from the building to perhaps maybe move this forward? Is that an option?
Are you asking to separate it and make a separate decision this evening on it, or to take it off the table?
I could probably support the building without the signage, but if the signage is included, I won't support it.
So could we split the decisions we're making tonight, Mr. Secretary, and do one on the sign exception and one on the building, or is
Well,
that not viable?
You could. It would create a new project. If you do that, you want to be specific about signs that you're not approving? With, it'd be with the exception of, or there's,
Couldn't this go at the normal, go to a sign subcommittee and they address it and bring it back, or is that?
if you condition it that way.
that-
If the motion conditions it that way and it's accepted.
Yes, I mean, if you want to make a motion,
All right, well, let me see if I can put one together. I'll approve Y 22-063 with the following conditions revised. That the sidewalk uplights along South Main and Olympic, if they're there, be either removed and the sidewalk repaired or brought back into working conditions. The infill brick pattern, it would be pattern B. And that the signs be addressed by the sign subcommittee with the intent to reduce the blade signs and look at the sign over the front entry along South Main Street. The parking garage, we didn't, I guess there was 1 and 2. I'm okay with it being not painted, so I don't know if we had a consensus on that. I know Philip wanted it to be painted. What's your,
I think it might look nicer in white.
in white? Okay. All right. I'm okay with that too, so that the parking be treated with the same color as the rest of the building.
And you had mentioned wanting to maybe pass on a comment to the Art Commission. Is that something you want in your motion, or is that
The motion should accept or should support or not support the location for
just
the
the
mural.
location?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm okay with the location of where they're proposing the art. I guess that's my motion.
So we have a motion made. Does anybody want to second it?
Second.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded to move the project forward, repair or replace the lights. Nothing specific on the parking tunnel color.
Well, it should be match the,
Is that a part of your?
yeah, it was gonna be
Okay,
white.
okay, so having the parking tunnel brick be white. Approving the location of the art, the brick fill to be pattern B, and to separate out the sign question to sign subcommittee
Specifically, the Main Street sign
and the blade signs. All right, do we have that down? Is that a fair representation of the motion?
It is.
Okay, we have a motion made, we have a motion seconded, let's take a vote.
Vice Chair Killian,
Yes.
Commissioner Newsom,
Yes.
Chair Curling,
No, and I just want to qualify, the only reason I'm voting no is because I don't think we need to separate out the signage to sign subcommittee. I'm okay with the signs in the current plans, so that's the only reason I'm voting no.
we have a 2-1 vote. That is, for this quorum, that is that's a positive.
All right, so the motion carries 2-1. Thank you, everybody. Now, moving on to commission considerations. Mr. Secretary, do we have any commission considerations?
We have none on the agenda.
And item 6, do we have any commission member or staff reports or announcements?
I'm going on vacation. I won't be here next time.
Congratulations. All right. Staff, any announcements or reports?
No, maybe next meeting we'll have a few.
Okay, great. Then we move on to adjournment. We are adjourned